Hello everyone, it's your host, Get Good Fox, and it's time to review the Trifecta Bounty Pack. The theme of this pack is that you've got 4 item categories. They are melee weapons, secondary weapons, primary weapons, and backpacks. And then across those 4, you've got these 3 color schemes that they're following, which would be a pastel kind of candy color scheme, a gold-plated color scheme, and then sort of like a sporty competitive theme. Anyways, the point is I'm going to tell you about each of the items, how to get them, and then I'm going to tell you whether or not I think they're worth going for, especially if you're not a fan of farming out all the bounties. Let's get started with the backpacks. So the 3 new backpacks added in Trifecta are known as the Day Packs, and they're separated by the names of their color schemes, which are Hard Candy, Filigree, and Competition. The bounty for Hard Candy is to collect 10 food. The bounty for Filigree is to collect 25 of any resource. The bounty for Competition is to collect 10 fuel. After you unlock them, they cost an extra 300 influence each. And what makes them different is that they have a new stat line never before seen in backpacks of State of Decay 2. They are 7 slots and 1 pound, making them a massive upgrade over the standard backpack, which is also 7 slots but 6 pounds. So the question is, how good are these? And my answer for how good they are is really going to be dependent on the cardio skill you pick and whether or not you're choosing discipline as your wit skill. Now, some of the words might get a little confusing here, so listen carefully. If you choose the cardio skill backpacking, then the backpack you should pick is still going to be a hiking backpack, and that's because the whole point of the backpacking skill is just to carry as much stuff as possible and not carry about your weight. On the flip side, if you're going for marathon, your goal is to not exceed light carry capacity because then you lose the ability to sprint free of stamina. And the thing is, the marathon carry capacity for light is not very high, so it doesn't take very much loot to get into medium carry, so you wouldn't really want a 7th slot, and the ultralight backpack is still basically 1 pound lighter than even these new day packs. However, if you have the wit skill discipline, which extends your light carry capacity, then I think the day pack is a great choice. And I also think the day pack is a great choice for someone using powerhouse or acrobatics. And it also can simply just be used as a generalist backpack if your goal is to stay out of heavy carry, because losing 6 pounds, that's like finding another mid-weight gun or like a heavier melee weapon. It's almost the weight of a heavy weapon, so it really would help out powerhouse if you're worried about getting into heavy carry. So overall, I think they're pretty good. Next, let's move into the melee weapon, starting with the curious Sweet Spot Bat. The bounty is to complete 4 missions with a follower. More bats cost 750 influence each. It's a blunt weapon that weighs 1.5 pounds, and its stats are rather odd. It has curiously high lethality by blunt weapon standards. In fact, I think it is the blunt weapon with the highest lethality in the game, even higher than the crow's beak. On the other hand, it has lower knockdown than normal, lower impact than normal, and its ease of use is pretty good. So with that kind of lethality, it makes me curious. Is the Sweet Spot Bat any good? Because remember, the main skill that enhances lethality is swordplay, but swordplay won't affect a blunt weapon. It only applies to bladed weapons. So to find out this answer, I went ahead and did some tests, and I made a graph just for you. And what we have here is the Sweet Spot Bat 100 kills test. What I did was get my striking character out, equipped her with a Sweet Spot Bat, then I went and killed 100 zombies in one-on-one combat so that I could carefully record how many strokes of the Sweet Spot Bat it took to kill them. Here were the results. 14 of the zombies were killed in 1 hit, 23 were killed in 2 hits, 36 of them were killed in 3 hits, 26 of them were killed in 4 hits, and 1 of them managed to survive until 5 hits. So what that tells me is that the Sweet Spot Bat kills on average in 3 hits, plus or minus 1. It seems like it's equally as likely that it'll be 2 hits and equally as likely that it will be 4 hits, with the majority of them being 3. However, the average definitely favors killing in 1 to 3 hits because remember, we've got those 14 one-hit kills. So, is the Sweet Spot Bat good or not? And my answer to that is actually, I actually think it is a viable alternative to the primary way you would use blunt weapons. I think it's especially good on a marathon user who wants to use striking, and that's because basically all of the very lightweight blunt weapons They don't have enough knockdown to swat zombies down in one hit anyways. However, I still don't think it's as good as using a high knockdown blunt weapon that is going to be a heavier weapon, but it knocks them down in one hit guaranteedly with maxed out striking, and then you can just execute them all. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the Gilded Kukri. The bounty for this is to dismember 35 zombie arms with melee attacks. The price for more Kukris is 750 influence. It is a bladed weapon that weighs 3 pounds, and it has a high lethality and a near max dismemberment, though it is somewhat fragile. Overall, this stat line is fairly common for like the really upper tier bladed weapons. It's basically an improvement over the October Bounty's Choppa bladed weapon, but it's definitely more than good enough to be in like that top tier bladed category. There's nothing wrong with choosing this weapon. It might not be the best bladed weapon, but it's got more than enough stats that if you like the appearance of it, it will absolutely not let you down. And finishing up the melee weapons is the Armorer's Wrench. The bounty is to craft 2 vehicle upgrade kits. If you want more wrenches, they cost 285 influence each. It is a blunt weapon that weighs 4.5 pounds, and the knockdown stat, it's almost enough to guarantee one-hit knockdowns with a maximum striking skill, but not quite. Every now and then you will have a zombie that does not get knocked down in a single hit. Otherwise, it does have pretty good durability and pretty good ease of use. However, it's just the fact that it doesn't guarantee one-hit knockdowns, it definitely makes it a noticeable peg down below other blunt weapons like Bildrat, Shovel, Cleo Mace, and the RTX Crusher. So it's okay, but it's not top tier. Now it's time to get into the secondary weapons. First up is the Mac11 Jawbreaker. The bounty is to complete 4 missions with no follower. More Jawbreakers cost 375 influence. It's a 9mm assault pistol that weighs 3.5 pounds. It has a capacity of 32 rounds. It can be fired semi-automatic or fully automatic, but it doesn't have any other special features, so it doesn't have the all-important scope. It has a lot of spread, like the weapon isn't super accurate, and it's got kind of a moderate amount of muzzle sway. Overall, I don't think it is very good because you can just get a 9mm pistol with a scope, and I think that would do a lot better. That said, it does have decent capacity, and it's not very heavy for that capacity, so you could put a brake on it and use it to defeat Plaguehearts and Juggernauts on lower difficulties, not really on higher difficulties. But overall, I don't think it's really that great. There's plenty of much better 9mm options out there. But coming up right behind it is the Gold Fever Revolver. Bounty is to dismember 35 plague zombie legs. More revolvers cost 2,000 influence. It is a 44 caliber hollow point revolver. It has a 5-round capacity, 3.3 pounds. It's semi-automatic. It has a mid-strength scope with pretty good accuracy. It's got pretty low muzzle sway, but here comes the big killer. You can't put a silencer on it, and it has a sluggish reloading speed because it is a revolver. Quick editor's note, I thought that I was using a gunslinger that was speeding up the reload on the Gold Fever Revolver, but it turns out I was not, and it actually just has a naturally fast reload speed. That said, it does not change my rating on the Gold Fever Revolver at all. Anyways, back to the review. I'm not gonna lie to you, revolvers, they stink. There's really only one good one, and that is the Echo S1 revolver because it is permanently silenced. It's one of only 2 silenced revolvers, and that would be the Echo S1 revolver, and I guess its counterpart, the restored Echo S1 revolver, but also the OSS Silent Night. But really, the only good one is the Echo S1. And the fact that you cannot put a silencer on it makes it useless in higher difficulties, and the fact that it has a low capacity means the stronger bullet, the 44 caliber hollow point bullets, they don't even make a difference because you can't fire them quickly enough for them to be useful against Plaguehearts or Juggernauts. So it looks pretty, but it's garbage. Finishing up the secondaries is the Czech M8. The bounty for this is to kill 16 screamers with headshots. The price for more of these is 888 influence. It's a 9mm pistol, 26-round capacity, 2 pounds, so pretty light. It's semi-automatic, and it has, I'm just going to call this like a close combat scope. It's basically a scope that zooms in only a little tiny bit, gives you just slightly a bit of zoom, slightly a bit of enhanced accuracy, to the point where like it might as well just not have a scope. However, it's a very steady weapon with minimal muzzle sway. Overall, I still think it's a really good pistol. However, I don't think it is quite as good as the 9mm scoped pistols. They're not even that uncommon. I'm talking about like Precision G17, Sighted P07. Those are, I think, are better. Capacity is lower, but I would much rather have that long-range scope just to knock out those zombies that are farther away. Still, I think the Czech M8 is pretty good. And finally, let's get into the last category. These would be the primary weapons. Up first is the M4 CQBR Mob Stopper. The bounty is to kill 2 ferals with vehicles. If you want more of these M4s, they cost 1,400 influence each. It is an assault weapon chambered for 5.56mm bullets. It has a capacity of 40. It weighs 5 pounds, which is rather light. It has all 3 of your firing modes, so semi-automatic, burst, and fully automatic. It's got one of those close combat scopes that doesn't zoom in really at all. It's got a kind of a medium amount of muzzle sway. Overall, I think it is an interesting weapon. I would say it's below average. However, it is rather light if you want a sort of assault platform for a marathon user. The thing, though, is that it doesn't have really a good scope. I would much rather just use the basic sighted M4. So overall, I don't know. It's meh. Like, it's not awful, but it's not great. I could definitely see someone passing on this. Next up, we've got the very expensive Golden Honcho. Bounty is to dismember 70 zombie arms with ranged attacks. Price for more of these is 3,250 influence. It's an assault platform with the 7.62mm bullets. It has a 50-round capacity, 8-pound weight. Semi-automatic or fully automatic are its firing options. It has a very nice mid-strength scope with near pinpoint accuracy, but it does have noticeable muzzle sway. Overall, this is not the best of the AK-style weapons that would go to the Eternal Guard's Infinite Rage. However, it could be very accessible in comparison to the Eternal Guard, meaning if this is available, you could get it and get a really good AK-style weapon very accessibly. You probably only need one of these, though. I don't recommend forking out the 3,000 influence for it. It's going to be really good against humans. It's going to be good against Plaguards if you slap a break on it. Not on Lethal Zone, though. Do it on Plaguards below Lethal Zone. They can just eat up bullets like crazy, and it's going to be good against Juggernauts of any difficulty. Once again, slap a break on it. So overall, I do think that it's worth getting. It's a pretty good weapon, pretty cool looking unless you don't like the gaudy appearance. And finally, we've got the MPX Competition. The bounty is to kill 10 ferals with ranged or melee weapons. If you want more of these, they cost 900 influence each. It's an assault platform chambered for 9mm bullets. It has a 40-round capacity, 6 pounds of weight. It has all 3 modes of fire. It has one of those close combat scopes where it doesn't really zoom in very much, so it's kind of like not having a scope. However, it's a very accurate weapon, and it has kind of a medium amount of muzzle sway. I would say this is possibly the best general-purpose 9mm weapon in the game, maybe. There is some competition for it, but it's really, really good. Even though the scope doesn't really help it, it's just like insanely accurate, even when it's not zooming in. If you're looking for something better, it's gonna be a little tough to find something. Like, there are some options, but it's mainly gonna be more of a specialization thing. Like, if you want a lightweight weapon, I'd go with the Sleeper Cell PPK. That is in the 22 caliber category. And if you want something that's more of a long range kind of weapon, the fake A47, also in the 22 caliber category, has near pinpoint accuracy and is still semi-automatic. But overall, the MPX Competition, I would say it is the best offering in the Trifecta pack. And if you could only pick one thing to get, I would say get the MPX Competition. Okay then, let's go ahead and wrap this review up with my condensed recommendation. So I think the backpacks are pretty good. I'd recommend getting all of them. For the melee weapons, I recommend both the Sweet Spot Bat and the Gilded Kukri, but you can pass on the Armorer's Wrench. For the secondary weapons, I think you can pass on the Gold Fever Revolver, and you can pass on the Mac11 Jawbreaker, but the Czech M8 could be worth getting. For the primary weapons, I would say you can pass on the M4 CQBR Gobstopper, but I would say that the Golden Honcho is probably worth it. If you're not really into the AK platforms, you could probably pass, but definitely pick up that MPX Competition. Absolutely the best item in the pack. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments section. Do you think I was too hard on some of these weapons? Do you think that some of these weapons are super good like I do? Which ones have you enjoyed using? Let me know what you think down in the comments section. Anyways, like the video if it was informative. Subscribe for future State of K2 content. And of course, remember that you don't have to be good to get good.